Okay, we're working on this 2011 Chevy Cruze. It has the 1.4 liter turbo engine. We're going to be replacing the condenser and the expansion valve here today. The most obvious reason that you may need to replace your condenser would be, of course, if you had a leak there. Another reason, if your system is basically getting too much pressure on the high side, you could have a blockage, you know. So I think from the year 2000 and up, you really can't clean these condensers out. The passageways are just too small. So it's a good idea if you're replacing the compressor or doing some work to go ahead and replace the condenser. It also has the dryer in there as well. Okay, so the condenser, I got this, it's TRQ. Haven't used one of these before, but usually they sell pretty good parts. Typically I like to get 4 seasons. UAC is pretty good. This is what I found, so this is what I got. Now the expansion valve over here, okay, this is a 4 seasons expansion valve. Comes with the little stud in there. It also has the O-ring somewhere. Maybe they're in the box there, but it came with everything I needed there. So very important that we, replace this just so we don't have any issues, because these will go bad and contribute to your cooling issues. Here's the seals that came with that. Now what I didn't see is seals for the condenser itself here, so I'm going to have to see. I've got some universal seals, so I'm going to see if I can find some that's going to work. And I've got some of this Padgel. You may need to add a little bit to your condenser. Usually I think they figure on like an ounce or so, but I have added some to the compressor itself, a little extra, so I'm not going to worry with that. Okay, so we got it on ramps. The very first thing before we can do anything is we got to get this bumper off. At each wheel, the first thing we're going to start with, we've got 3 of these T20s. Now mine's going to be a little bit different from yours, I'm sure, because the plastic underneath here has been removed a long time ago. I found, in my case, it was unnecessary and it was hiding a lot of leaks where you couldn't see what was going on, so I just took them off. So I don't have a lot of the plastic pieces that are going to be clipped underneath here, because you're going to have a few screws and clips underneath. So we've got another T20 right here we'll remove. And we got one more right up here we need to get. Okay, so let me show you under here. So this piece is gone, has been removed. There's a piece that runs all along through here that'll probably be on your car. So you'll need to at least remove that. I'm not sure if you'll have to remove the other pieces that are running back here, but you'll at least have to remove this piece that's running under here. You won't be able to see the radiator or the condenser and stuff. So here's a condenser. The other thing is that the bumper will be kind of fastened to these plastic tire wells, so you'll need to disconnect whatever's clipped to that. It's pretty simple, but you will have to do that. Okay, so the next part for me is popping this out of here. This snaps in here. Now, one of the things that can happen if you're not careful, like this could be tearing right here, so if you go to yank on it, it might break part of it. Now you can take a little plastic pick tool and you can try to lift up a little bit sometimes and kind of facilitate removing it. And you see how you got the clips, they just go in there and snap, but they can get brittle over time and tear, and then you're going to have to glue it back or something. And you can see how that just kind of pops out from around those lights there. You got to do the same thing on both sides. Okay, so we're up top. We're going to take our trim tool and start popping these up. Now we got these 10 millimeters here on each side. Okay, and I'm going to want to get a hand on this. And you'll note the cardboard down here so it's not getting scratched up. Now we do have some lights here. An ambient air sensor we're going to have to disconnect. I'm going to try to just pull it back and see if we can disconnect it. Now you can see where the lights go. There's like a couple of clipped in places too here that kind of goes in there and holds. I'm going to pull this back a little bit and we'll disconnect. Well, it's just falling on me. Okay, so you see this sensor, it was clipping in over here, and it probably has been long since broken. Now these here you can just twist and it will come right out. Just be careful. Got to do that on both sides. And you can see when it comes down, it wants to fall on the face there, so you know, if you don't have a helper doing it by yourself, you want to put something down so it's not getting scratched up. Okay, so we're going to get to work on removing a few things here. We'll probably start with this piece. Okay, so we got an extension. We're just going to come up here and get this 10 millimeter. It's a good idea to have a little pin magnet handy. These little bolts like to take off on you and then you can't find them, fall down on the frame or something. Okay, so now we're just going to take and grab this piece and kind of start wiggling it off over here. And it just has a little rubber seal around it. So there we have that piece. Now we're just going to take and put our little bolts back so we're not getting them mixed up. Okay, so we're going to try to get on this piece here. We've got some 10 millimeters, and then we'll have to get on the clips up top. So, and it looks like I've got a storm coming, so I'm fixing to have to quit. And we've got a couple more 10s right here. And we got this last 10 millimeter. There's that one. Okay, now we just got these little clips up here. Now I could possibly leave this piece, but I'm just removing everything here so it's not going to be a problem. And there's the first one. Okay, and with that one out, it's got a little clip down here you got to lift up on, and then this piece will slide out. So there's like a little clip on this end, goes under there. Okay, and as you see, we put our little clips back and we put our bolts back where they go. This piece will just lift up and off of there. Okay, so we got these flaps that the condenser is going to catch on each side, so we need to go ahead and get this clip here, and we've got one on the other side. Okay, so you see how that just, we'll try to keep those on the sides they go on. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and get this one on this side. And again, put your clips back so you're not losing them. Okay, just to show you what's holding these in, it's like very simple design. You push in on this, you know, with a screwdriver, something very firmly, and then we're able to lift this up. It just slides right in there like so. And as far as the bottom goes, it just sets down, so you don't need to unclip anything. Now we do have our pressure sensor here. We're going to go ahead and lift up on that a little bit and pop that off there. And let me show you on the other side. It's should be the same way, but it's actually not sitting down. This side here is not even not even locked in there, so it'll actually just pull up. It's supposed to be, but it wasn't. And this side, you can see, has the lock there. But before we mess with that, we're going to go ahead and get on these lines, and I want to put some tape over them. Okay, now if you have any pressure in your system, you're going to have to take and have this evacuated absolutely before you work on it. You still, even at that, want to wear safety glasses when working on this system, so you don't want to be removing any lines if you've got pressure in your system. You need to have that all evacuated out. Okay, so you can see this easily slides back, and we'll just put that back there. Now what I want to do is put a little tape on the end of that, and of course that'll keep any unwanted moisture out for the time being. Okay, so we're going to get on the lower 13. Tape that up. Okay, so there's that one. And it said right now it can't make up its mind if it wants to rain or not, so definitely don't want to take any risk. Okay, so the clip wasn't even attached on the other side, so all I have to do is push in on this side. And as you can see, that's going to come right out of there. I didn't expect to come flying out of there like that, but it did. So now it's got some sort of plastic piece right here that will transfer over to the other one. Here's a view with that out of the way. So we've got our intercooler, and I guess our transmission cooler and all sorts of things. So it's pretty congested in here, to say the least. So we'll go ahead and get our new one, and we'll try to get it back in place here. Okay, we slipped this little plastic piece. It's really quite simple. You just feed it down in there and pops over this end. Now I did have to trim it because it didn't want to fit in this little area here. It was a little bit different. Okay, the seals for the condenser, you're going to need these here. There's a part number. I'll leave the links. These are like 12 bucks a piece at the dealer, so I wasn't very happy to have to go get these. These should have come with the condenser, but these old ones were flattened out. There's no way at all but certain to leak, so you got to have these. So I don't know if they have any aftermarkets that would work. I know my expansion valve came with a seal, so those looked fine. Okay, so we're just getting ready to set it up here in place. Okay, and the main thing is we just need to be very careful. We've got this end going this way. Notice how that's facing up. Now I did not transfer the pressure switch yet. So don't want to be banging this up. And we got to get it okay, so I've started off wrong here. This is supposed to slide in here. Okay, so this is pretty much the same way on this side. We just have to get it pushed down and locked. And then the bottom part, you can see down there, is just going into that. Okay, and on the passenger side, it just sets down in this part. I'll just push this down until we get it to lock. Alright, I got the big seal. I just put a little bit of this padule and this lid, and we're just going to slide that on. I said I would not even attempt to reuse those old seals. Okay, now the only difference here is that this one is going to be using a bolt. It's not studded like the old one. And I guess we need to get it lined up straight. So this has like a washer and a locking washer as well. So you don't want to over tighten something. Now you're talking about inch pounds. I'm just using a little 1/4 inch ratchet. Just snugging it up. Now before I connect this line down here, I want to make sure that I'm able to get my switch on here. Using a 14mm. And you have note the O-ring down there. We want to put a little bit of oil on that O-ring over here too. Okay, so like I said, I put a slight bit of oil in here just so it's going to go down onto that O-ring. Get our connector here. Alright, we got our small seal, we've got oil on it. Okay, so we're going to start putting things back together. We got these little pieces. That pin was kind of stubborn. This piece has these little grooves that you just get it up here and push it down. And then it should pop up and over this front. Okay, we've got this piece here. Remember, this end has that clip. So we're going to kind of start this end. Just kind of slide it. And we'll get our 10mm. We'll start down here. Just kind of get them loosely in place. Looks like I'm actually missing one, either here or here. One of these is missing because we had one for our air duct going here, but 3 is plenty enough. Go ahead and snug these up now. We're going to slip this air duct back on. Work it on down there first. Okay, let's get this one if we can keep from dropping it. And we'll snug that up. Okay, we're not going to put the bumper back on just yet until I get the expansion valve. It'll make it a little easier just leaving it off, and plus I want to make sure I don't have any leaks. Okay, so to find the expansion valve, all you got to do is come back here and look right here by your heater hoses at the back. And we've just got one studded nut right there to remove. Now, one of the problems here, once I get this line out of the way, I'm going to have to put some plastic or something around this. You see this foam is really dirty and loose, and I'm all but certain that's going to wind up in my expansion valve. Don't want that, so we're going to have to figure something out there. Okay, so I'm on this with a long extension here, a 13 millimeter. That hose that you see running right there, one of those heater hoses is right in the way, so I needed a swivel. And just to show you, I'm just kind of running out here with an extension. Alright, so let's see how hard this is going to be to get loose. I thought it was real easy. And we've got a really long stud on that. I think I can get it with my fingers now though. Okay, you can see I almost got it. We'll just try not to drop it. We've got lots of stuff in the way, so we're going to just play this by ear. Okay, I should have just removed the stud. I'm using a 3/16 here to get on the end of it. And I should have just took it out from the get-go. Let me see. Okay, so sometimes you just know when something's not going to work, and this wasn't working. Not enough slack to do anything in here. So what I'm working on right now is removing the mount over here, because this line goes under this. Doesn't give me any slack the way it is. So we got all these bolts, and we also got a jack under here supporting the engine. So we're going to go ahead and remove this, and hopefully we can get some more slack in this line, but I'm not even hopeful of this. Okay, so this is better. We had to get this loose from its little clips that run around, and because they're both together, and it's enough to kind of give me a little bit more slack where I can do something here. Okay, after some working with it, I pushed that line down and I found that to work the best. I'm using a T35, and I would point out that that stud is epoxy welded in there. There is no way that was coming out. I was trying to remove that because I thought it was going to make it easier working my lines out of the way. Hold on a sec. Okay, so I'm going to work these screws out here, these T35s. And another thing, like, I was trying to figure out a way of putting something around this. I worry putting the new one back, it's going to get debris from that foam. And I'm going to have to at least figure something out going back in. I'm going to have to be very, very careful. It's just it's It's in one of the worst places I think I've messed with. Very, very difficult to get to this. And then you got that foam that's right around it. That's really making problems. Okay, so there's that first T35. There's our second one, and this should be ready to pull out of here. So there's our old one. Alright, so now we got to get in here and pick these seals off. So we got new seals. And it really requires both of your fingers. That big one's on top. Alright, so I dug around in my little package and found the appropriate size. I'm slipping it on. And we're getting ready to get this lower. And none of this has been fun. It's like very, very difficult to get in here. But it's got to be done. Can't see what you're doing either. Alright. Alright, I'm getting ready to try to get the expansion valve in here. And give me a second. I'm going to try to feed it into place here. It's kind of really hard to see what's going on. Okay, so we're snugging these T35s down here. We've got it slipped onto the seals. And I'm not worried about this expansion valve. These Four Seasons are really good. I mean, they're probably the closest thing to OEM. It's just not real fun getting in here to this and having to remove a lot. I knew it was going to be problems, but it was more than I kind of thought. So I'm just going to snug these up here now. They don't have to be very, very tight. You know, they're little bolts. Okay, now what we're going to do is slip off these seals. And we're going to wipe it up the end, make sure it's clean, even though you can't see what I'm doing here. These are a snug fit, that's why it's taking a minute. Okay, like I said, before we slip this on, we're making sure we got plenty of oil. Just getting the big upper one. I'll make sure it's not going to touch anything. And we'll get the lower. Okay, so just got the lower one on. We're going to carefully feed this in place. And we'll try to get our stud going after we get this lined up. Okay, so I'm just threading this stud in by hand to start off with. And we'll just get it down till it kind of stops, and we'll snug it a little more. So I'm just using the 3/16 that I was attempting to use earlier, but so the other one wouldn't come out. So that's plenty snug enough. Okay, so we're going to get this 13 back on here. That is my step stool that I'm sliding on, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to get my 13 here. Okay, I've just got the swivel. And that's probably plenty tight right there. Okay, so I just got to get the lines kind of routed back where they were. It's really not a big deal. Now if you can figure out a way to simply push that over there down and get slack without having to remove this, then by all means do it. I'm not saying this is the only way, but it's just what I decided to do. So I'm just getting ready to put all these bolts back in here. I'm probably going to put some medium Loctite on these, by the way. Now I've got the jack just lifting up on it, so this part of the mount over here is setting right up flush. Now you can see your old bolt marks, and I'm just putting them right back where they were, just kind of moving it right back where it was. I'm going to torque these to all to 40 foot-pounds. Okay, so at this point I'm just going to slip my intake air back on here, and we're going to go ahead and get a vacuum on the system and see how it's looking. Okay, so we got our gauges hooked up here, and we're fixing to pull a vacuum on the system and just see how it's going to do. Got these turned clockwise once they're on, so the system is open. These are, well, they should have been closed. And we're going to go ahead and kick the pump on. You want to make sure you always got oil. And basically we need to let this run for at least an hour. And we're just going to let it run for a little bit and verify that it'll even hold vacuum before we go any farther, though. So let's open them up. You can see that needle drop, and you can hear the difference in the pump. And it'll pull it down to, it's not focusing at all. It'll pull it down below that 30, usually where that P is. And this side will just kind of bottom out on the needle. But we'll pull it down to like 30, and then we'll turn it off and just see if it's going to even hold vacuum. If not, we got a leak somewhere. And you want to let this set for about 30 minutes to just see. Now, you may have a little bit of movement because your gauges may not be perfect. If you don't have a really good set, you might get a little bit of leakage. So it may move a little bit, but when it starts moving, you know, several clicks, that's when you know that there's a problem. But I can tell, I mean, I've been watching for a second, it's not moving. I'm going to go ahead and vacuum it for an hour. And I think we'll work on maybe trying to get this bumper back on while this is vacuuming, and I think that it's looking good. I mean, I've seen enough of them to tell, you know, if it's going to move. Usually going to start doing it pretty quick. So when you check this, though, you turn the pump off, you make sure these are closed, and then you check it. Okay, we got our cardboards again because it tries to fall over and it'll be scratching the front. I think we're just going to set it up there, and we're going to start getting the little push pins and stuff in place, and then we'll work on the other stuff. We can get the little side marker lights and stuff from underneath. Again, try to have everything set that you're going to need. we'll just start snapping these in. These will hold it. $10mm. These will just push right in. Okay, we're going to get our little Torx back in the fender liner here. Okay, so we've had it vacuuming for about an hour. We're going to go ahead and close both of these off. And we'll go ahead and shut this vacuum pump off. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and attach this to our can, and then we're going to purge this yellow line of any air. This valve is up. Now if you look up here, it will tell you how much of this refrigerant, 1.38 pounds, about 22 ounces, which comes out to almost 2 cans. So we're just going to be shy of 2 cans. Okay, so just going to purge a little bit of your air out of the line. Okay, we'll go ahead and open this side up and get some freon going into the system. And it will suck a little bit in, but then we're going to have to crank the car. Okay, so we got the AC going full blast in there. We'll stop just shy of 2 cans. Now your can will go frosty and then it'll go warm. And we'll let it go a little longer so it'll suck every bit of it out of the can. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just shut this valve here and we'll get ready to get our second can on. Okay, so I've almost got all this can. I think I'm going to stop here. I don't want to get the whole can. I said I want to keep a couple of ounces, so here's where we're at right now. And we need to check the temperature and get it circulating to see how it's going to do inside. Okay, so here's where we ended up at, and I'm probably going to have to drive it, get it circulating good. I've got it about 55 inside, but I've got the proper amount in it, so I don't want to add any more. Okay, so I was able to take it down the road and get it in the middle. Now I'm sitting there idling and it's creeping up a little bit, but it feels really nice. But driving down the road, it's getting right in the middle, and I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, you want to get it right on the bottom line there where the 40's at. That's ideal, but you can't always get there, you know. But with the new condenser and expansion valve, this thing's working real nice now. It didn't have any air before. Okay, so it was less than $100 for the condenser and the expansion valve. Now, however, I did have to go hunt down those seals at the dealership, and those are kind of expensive. So unless you can get a kit, I think Four Seasons has a kit that you get a whole package, so I'd recommend that, because for less than $20 you can get all those seals. It's really expensive, $12 each. So anyways, I hope you found the video helpful, and that's got the AC working on this again. Very happy with that. Just want to let everyone know that watches the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for supporting the channel. And for those of you who are not subscribed, I invite you to subscribe, and I thank everyone for watching.